Well, I lost the last chunk of my recorded video, so I have to redo the last 20 minutes. It's gonna be okay. I just gotta remember what I said. So, the end of that story is simply that one time experiment when I tanned a deer hide with zero agitation at all. I left it in a cold infusion, a cold soak of bark for 2 months, walked away, came back, softened it. It softened the same as any other deer hide I'd ever tanned, and in the end, the tannin smell of the leather was a little different. It was a little more like sweet and fermenty rather than like a barrel, like a tannic barrel. It was just a little different. So like it was a different fermenting process going on. But the leather quality, like the suppleness, the texture was identical to every other deer hide I softened. Supple, beautiful, shiny, nice, soft membrane side. So all that really just goes to say, like, maybe in certain situations it is, but in all my experience, scudding is just not essential at all. At all. Um, yeah, I'm sure other people could get into arguments with me about that, but the hides are the proof. My hides here are the proof. And I don't, I certainly am not saying that my hides, that I'm the best tanner in the entire world, but I will say that my hides are some of the best naturally tanned hides I've ever seen. And a lot of that's just because I put in an inordinate amount of hours and labor and care into them. Like, it's impractical how slow I am and how nitpicky I am and how much experimenting I do. It's not practical from a producing materials type of mindset. But I'm a teacher and an artist. I'm not a leather manufacturer here. So I will say that, like, I have never seen other deer hides that are vegetable tanned that are nicer than mine, that are more supple, more full-bodied, stronger. Um, I think that's saying something. I will sometimes meet tanners that, I'll get to see and feel their hides, and they're different. Like, they're equally wonderful, but they're different. Like, they have different qualities to them. Like, different and both really, really nice. But then most of the other time, a lot of the hides that I see are, have some problems to them. Like they're stiff, they're crunchy, they're undertanned, they have cracking grain, just any number of problems. And it doesn't need to be that way. You deserve to have fully softened, full-bodied, supple, strong, long-lasting leather. Like, natural tanning isn't about, like, oh, well, it was the thought that counts. At least I was able to, process the animal by hand and, make my own leather, even though it's not so great. Like, no, you should be able to make the best leather on earth. That's what natural leather is about. That's part of what it's about. Um, you know, it's not that, like, making natural leather by hand the old slow way should be inferior to modern manufacturing of leather. No, it is the opposite, guys. It's the opposite. Okay, this leather is the best leather on earth. And in terms of strength, flexibility, um, beauty, like the differences in texture, in color variation, integrity, and certainly ethically. Like, no other leather can compare. So, sorry, gotta let this cat out. Go, go. Commercial leather can never, ever, ever, ever compete with the integrity and the ethical integrity and ecological integrity of natural leather. Okay, which is just to say that, like what I do on the small scale here is one of the main points for me and what I aim for is complete harmony of my tanning practices with that particular landscape where I am. And, To me, that means like I'm tanning in such a way that there's no poisons going into the land. There's nothing harmful or toxic going on for the humans around, the plant populations, and the animal people. These leathers are non-toxic. Like I could eat this if I wanted to. You could have a little baby rolling around in this its whole life, chewing on it and drooling on it. These are completely non-toxic. They, yeah, they are absolutely superior to manufactured leather. So if you are making this leather at home, like you're putting in all the work and all the labor and all the energy and the emotional investment and the love, like you should be able to get good leather. We're going to get you there. Like you deserve to have the best leather in the world. You do. And yeah, I guess that brings me to the last myth, which is kind of a sum up, which is just this belief that like there are tanning barks out there, tanning plants out there that are like the best to use, that like, oh, this is the best one to use if you want to make the best leather, or this bark or plant makes a superior leather to this. And I just want to really debunk that, brush that aside. I think that it's got to be a vestige of large-scale leather manufacturing. Like I said, and even nowadays, leather manufacturing that is making vegetable tanned leather, so-called natural leather, in a largish scale, larger than home scale, they're using tannin extracts, which just means an extract of barks from actual trees with actual tannins in them that are coming from the Amazon, the deforestation of the Amazon. Okay, that's not the same thing as small-scale, ecologically harmonious natural tanning. Okay, yeah, so, if it depends what your values are. Like my personal values and aims. Sorry, my knees are just tired from sitting so long. My aims are in fact, right, to have small-scale tanning practices that could continue that way in that place for 700 generations, forever, right? With no harm, not just no harm being done to the plant people and the human people and the animal people and the fungi people and microorganism people, but that the lives of all the species are enriched. That like fox and human will live forever together and thrive together forever. To me, that's like the beauty and the promise, like almost the heartbreak. I'm gonna cry again. Of natural leather. Where we get to be part of each other's bodies, part of each other's skins. You can think of the souls of different peoples when they get woven together. Just imagine like how much the spirit and the souls, I'm just totally gonna cry, like the souls of the buffalo became woven, just like weaving fabric with the spirits of the people of the plains of North America for, I don't know, tens of thousands of years, where like the fabric of that spirit actually emerges. You could say the same thing of reindeer people throughout Siberia, or there's certain parts of the world where the crocodile is like the main source of life for people. Crocodile eggs and hides, and so just wherever in the world, like humans and another non-human people like have had such a relationship over so long, like their skins are merged together, their spirits are merged. So, in terms of like there's no best bark or leaf to use, I just invite you to lighten up about that. Yes, different leaves and barks and different plants create kind of different qualities of leather. It's not as dramatic as you might think. It's a topic for another class. But really, wherever you live, if you live in a temperate zone that is vegetated, right, a temperate zone that's not desert, there will be tannic plants growing where you live, right? And some of those tannic plants will have sensitive populations that can't keep up with what you would need to harvest to tan your hides. Some of those tannic plants are going to be opportunistic plants or fast growing or fast recovering plants, for which the harvest rate, the way that you would interact to harvest that plant, would be actually compatible with the regeneration rate of that plant. So yes, hemlock bark is a great tanner. Yes, oak bark are great tanners. Like these barks that we think of when we think of, oh, the tanning, what you're supposed to tan with. Yes, they make great leather. They are excellent tanners. Like hemlock, which is this hide, like hemlock bark, hemlock trees. Hemlock is a master tanner. Okay? To me, sumac leaves. Sumac is a master tanner. They've been doing it a long time. They have been doing it for maybe tens of thousands of years. So, when I'm tanning often, sometimes I don't even refer to myself as the tanner. I'm like, I'm working with hemlock. I get to work with sumac, who's a master tanner. Sumac knows what it's doing, and I get to learn from sumac. Okay. So yes, there are tried and true, plants for tanning out there. I can't remember if I already said this in the video or if it was what got deleted, but I'll just say that many of the plants that I use in my own tanning practice, I have never come upon a record of them being used in tanning historically before, and many of them I found to be excellent. And to me, I'm tasting, I'm going around, since I'm a botanist and I'm a plant person, I know a plant is not poisonous and going to kill me, so I'll go ahead and taste it. And I'm tasting for astringency in the leaves and the bark and the nut husks, and the root, any part of the plant. And if, I come upon a plant that tastes really astringent, that cues me in to whoa, this plant's probably pretty tannic, right? And I will experiment, gather just a small amount of that plant and tan a squirrel. So my experiments are squirrels. I'll tan a squirrel, hair off, grain on, so I can see the quality of the grain with that leather, with that tanning plant, what the experience is like in solution, all of that. And then if I like it, tan with more. I have found many tanning plants that way. They'll create different leather that are wonderful. Very rarely I will try a very astringent tasting plant that doesn't work out for me so well. But that's really a minority. Right? And these are plants in different ecosystems, coastal, mountains, just different places, even subtropical zones. So if you don't think you have tannic plants where you live, you do. It's just I invite you to be curious and it's your right. It's your honor to start the listening, the asking and the listening with those plants, to start building those bonds and those relationships with them, and find the master tanners where you live. I don't know what else is about that. Yeah, I don't want to get too technical about it, but a lot of this is like the decolonization of an ancient alchemy and an ancient art form, right? So this isn't about, my method is just not about buying products and trying to import and export materials from different places to create some ideal leather, right? So large-scale leather manufacturing wants to be able to do that, right? It sees all of the differences in this plant and that plant is different, and these hides are different in this place, and the age of the animal, all the diversity, it sees as a problem, as a hindrance, because it makes it harder to, they just want to smooth out the process, make it all the same, so we can do it anywhere, we could import and export anywhere in the world and have the process all happen predictably and the same. Whereas, you know, that's where culture comes from, is the uniqueness of landscapes, right? And we've lost that. We've lost culture so much in the modern globalized world because of that. But remember, there was a time when, you know, like in this village right over here, you know, the embroidery designs and the designs in the basketry were unique and beautiful. And then in this village just across the way, their particular designs were unique and different than just this village over here. And then this other village would have, you know, its pottery had this extra shine or this extra secret, right? And people would be able to recognize, like, oh, that's the basketry from that village, and oh, those are the pots from that village, and these are unique and they have unique traditions, right? To me, that's something of great beauty and great integrity, and that can be again. So yeah, just yeah, I'm not saying that all leather manufacturing needs to be this way. This is just what I do and what I teach, and what I research for myself. So it's just a matter of being clear with what your intentions are. You know, if you're manufacturing leather on a larger scale and wanting to make veg tan, but like ethical concerns just aren't a part of your process, then like, yes, tannin extracts from barks of the Amazon are effective. They will effectively tan leather that's natural leather. They'll do it faster than if you were doing it by hand. That's the truth. Yes, that will work. If you're seeking to tan leather in a harmonious way that is beneficial to all life and in harmony and specificity to the landscape where you are, and you're buying tannin extracts that are coming from different parts of the world and from, you know, horrific deforestation, you know, that might just be like some holes in the process there to examine, places to kind of get into deeper relationship with. Okay, so there was a ramble. Myths we busted today was one, you know, that vegetable tanning makes stiff, tough leather. No! Remember these rabbits, for goodness sakes. And even, yeah, I wanted to show you guys a squirrel. Oftentimes people think squirrels would make really thin, supple leather because they're tiny animals. It's not the case. Here's gray squirrel. So soft and pretty long-haired, this one. Oh, gosh. And this is actually a very supple squirrel for vegetable tanned. It's a dark brown leather. For a vegetable tanned squirrel, this is quite supple. Not as thin or supple as the rabbits, not quite. But in general, gray squirrels, are quite tough. Like, this is just like really strong leather. I could never tear this, ever. And they're kind of thick and tight-skinned for their size, because they're like little muscular acrobats. They're the acrobats of the forest. They're tough, they're wiry, they're muscular. So, you know, their leather is pretty tight and nice. Here's another one. So hair off, grain on. You can see how nice squirrel leather is. It has such beautiful grain and makes such nice, strong leather. They're almost like little cows. That's why I use them as experiments, because the leather is so nice and useful for wallets and bags and pouches. The light's not so great. But you know, even though this leather is supple, it's fully softened. It's robust. It's quite robust. Some thick, robust leather for a little animal. Here's here's how big it is. It's as soft as a chinchilla. It's a rat. It's a rat. So I just want to show you this little rat hide. It is so soft, the fur. Really little, and it's so thin-skinned that vegetable tanned, like, it's like a napkin. It's like tissue paper. Like, You can just ball this up into a little ball. It gets so supple and soft. And that's just because the skin is so thin to begin with. It smells so good. It's one of the best smelling hides I've ever tanned. Even the hide before I tanned it it smelled like acorns, like butterscotch. It's just so good. Yeah, so busted that myth. Vegetable tanning creates stiff, tough leather. No. That vegetable tanning always makes dark colored leather and always stains white fur. Nope, absolutely not. You can tan pure white fur if you want to, if you have the right plants. That vegetable tanning is all about bark, that it's about bark tanning. That's the best thing to use or the only thing to use. Absolutely friggin' not! If my existence on planet Earth says anything, we'll blow that one out of the water. That vegetable tanning makes waterproof leather. No. Think about my shoes. No. In general, no. That you need to vegetable tan, that you need to oil vegetable tanned leather with like special oils and be very careful about it and mix them with waxes. No, don't bother if you don't want to. I don't. That there's this idea that you need to keep your tannin solutions very weak or start them out weak when you're tanning hides. Go slow. Fuck that. No. Heck no. Absolutely not. That it takes a really long time to vegetable tan hides. No. For God's sake, can we please get rid of that myth? It is so incorrect. It is so wrong. Yes, it takes longer than brain tanning. It doesn't have to take an eternity. Absolutely does not. The myth that you need to pickle furs. You do not. Pickling is an optional step. The myth that you need to scud hides. Incorrect. Scudding is an optional step. Yes, and that there is a best bark or best plant to use for tanning. Absolutely not. I'm sure there are thousands or hundreds of thousands of master tanning plants on this planet. All so wonderful. So I don't think I forgot anything else. We could look at hides all day long. We do have this other fox here. It's the only vegetable tanned fox I have around, just to show you that, like, it's a gray fox. Sometimes vegetable tanning and brain tanning look very different in hides. Sometimes they're almost hard to tell apart from one another, especially if you can't touch it. But you know, this kind of looks almost the same as brain tan. Like the texture is pretty similar. It's a tiny bit heavier in weight. You can feel the weight. But in terms of flexibility, it's just very, very similar. The drawback is that it still smells foxy because it hasn't been smoked. So like with foxes, it's so good to just smoke the heck out of them to kind of chill out that foxy smell. So this guy, I've been meaning to smoke him for like a couple of years now. But yeah, more for next time. Tanned a deer tail for the first time in my life. It never occurred to me to like save a tail and tan it. So beautiful. So beautiful. It's like an angel. It's like an angel. Yeah, so nice. So nice. Alright, that's all for now, guys. I hope you learned. I hope this was helpful. Gray fox says goodbye. And squirrels. Okay. Bye-bye.